Gentlemen, they released the tickets to Matrix Resurrections today.
Yes, they did.
BB Nate, how'd that go?
It didn't. It was so annoying. I swear I've had such bad luck with tickets.
We
recently.
got tickets, right?
We did.
Okay.
Not in IMAX, but don't worry. I'm sure we're going to watch this film more than once,
Of
probably
course.
as many times as we can get it in.
I don't think we'll ever understand it.
You're
fully.
gonna go see it again with Stuart, probably. And
Yeah, that would be fun to do. We should do that. We should see that with them and the boys as well. And we'll be reacting to the new trailer, the latest episode of Hawkeye, and wait for it. A musical about Star Wars.
Is this the holiday special?
Is Tatooine Sons.
It's true. All of it.
What is the name of the porg on the Millennium Falcon?
Force is strong in my family.
What do you think his name is? It's a big moment.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Maybe Turbis?
Do or do not. There is no try.
Turbis? Pablo, if you're listening to this live stream, that porg's name is now Turbis. It's a good Star Wars name.
We're not done yet.
These guys recorded an awesome podcast called Tatooine Sons. Everybody listen to it.
What did you just say?
The whole soundtrack, including the songs and the track list, leaked for No Way Home today.
No.
It has gotten taken down on every website except it's all over YouTube now. I've heard track 19, which is the one that everybody's talking about.
Did you know the title?
No, I don't.
Have you been totally spoiled?
Oh, well, it's something we've already been guessing, but I swear
Don't tell
I
it
am
on here.
so excited. That track, I was
Okay,
sitting there
wait till we get off camera or off mic. We're not on camera anymore, are we?
Not
It's
yet.
been like a year and a half. Not yet. Yeah, that'll happen soon. Welcome to Tatooine Sons, a pop culture podcast, the only fan podcast to name a canon Star Wars creature and be endorsed by Ryan Johnson, whose Star Wars trilogy, by the way, is still listed on StarWars.com. We believe that pop culture is the mythology of our generation, that there is a story, it is written on our souls, and that these myths speak to that story, and that is why we are talking about the third episode of Hawkeye, trying to figure out which color pill we're supposed to be taking after watching this latest trailer of
Has
Matrix
anybody
Resurrections.
considered making a purple pill?
I don't know.
Just thinking about that.
And poking a little fun at Star Wars fans, musically. I'm David. I'm the dad.
Hi, Dad.
Hi, Dad.
What's up, gentlemen? I am honored to be joined every waking moment.
Every waking moment.
Every
of my
waking
sons.
moment
There we go.
of my week. No, every week. By my two amazing sons, BB Nate.
Yes.
What do you got going today?
Well, we're talking about Hawkeye, and I have to say it hit the bullseye this week.
Yeah, like big,
it was good.
big time. All right. And Sam, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, you'll have to join us as we go down the rabbit hole and discuss the new trailer for The Matrix.
I'm excited about that.
What are you talking about?
A musical about Star Wars.
That's great.
You didn't have to
Seriously, no, that's actually the line from it.
I trust you, but you didn't have to sing it.
It's no, it's okay. I can sing like a whole song, but I'm not gonna do
Thank you.
the Anakin rap. Because I just can't. I can't do it. This episode is sponsored by Cufflinks.com. They have over 3,000 items on their website, from Star Wars, Marvel, DC, Lord of the Rings, NFL, NCAA, Roll Tide Roll, Major League Baseball, NBA, and everything else that you can think of. We are very honored to be sponsored by these amazing people over there, and make sure you stick around for that little conversation we're going to have about it, because there's a secret surprise coming in that. Make sure you follow the show on whatever you're listening to us on right now. I mean, if there's like a tin can strung between two places, I guess you can.
That's cool.
Subscribe that way too. I don't know. I'm excited about Friday. I know we already joked a little bit about this, but I'm going to be having my interview with Billy Reese on Friday. He is the writer of the absolutely hilarious musical, A Musical About Star Wars. And we're going to be spending a little time discussing it on this episode. But you're definitely going to want to check out that interview that comes out Friday morning. All right, enough about what we're talking about. Let's talk about it. BB Nate.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, this episode blew me out of the water. It was absolutely fantastic, and there is a lot of big things to talk about. So let's get to it.
Have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight?
Yeah, I can fly.
I'm here to fight for truth and justice in the American way.
The people in this room, which one is A, wearing a spangly outfit, and B, not of use?
There's only one God, man. And I'm pretty sure he doesn't dress like that.
That man has no limits.
Did you notice all like the little purple gadgets he's got and stuff?
Yeah,
that was
so
pretty cool.
What do you mean, like Hawkeye? Or?
Yeah, Hawkeye. He's like his trick arrows. Some like a lot of them are purple. There was like the purple
So they're
goop
trying to bring the purple
one and the
colors
purple
in.
smoke and all that.
It was really
Yeah.
cool. I really appreciated it. So this week's
As a
episode
Hawkeye fan, right?
was Echoes, which is actually a really cool name, judging by the main character, the main bad guy, Echo.
Echoes.
Yeah. So the rating of the episode on 1 to 10 Pym arrows.
I'm gonna bump this one up to an 8.
Okay.
There's a couple things that happened in it that were really, really fun. It was great action, great story. I'm excited about all of that. I still feel like it was setting up some stuff with it, but you got a cufflink at the beginning that seems to indicate something, and I don't want to steal your thunder, so we'll wait. And then that big giant arrow, and that was enough to move it to an 8 for me. So.
Sam?
I would give it an 8 or a 9 just because there was a lot of backstory and explanation and exciting action and all of that, but a lot of character development and chemistry between Clint and Kate, and there was just a lot of good points in this. I do agree that they're setting things up, but they have moved. The story's already moving forward really well, and it's a lot of fun so far.
Yeah, definitely. It was a lot of fun, but something that wasn't fun is Maya's tragic origin story. So we see a lot of Maya's childhood in the opening sequence. It's actually the whole opening sequence. She is deaf and is actually missing a leg. But can I talk about how I really think it's cool to be seeing all these heroes and potential villains with disabilities in media now? I mean, it's kind of just showing all of that, it's awesome. But later on, we see a hand. And not just any hand, but a hand that looks like it belongs to none other than Kingpin himself. Do y'all think Kingpin is now confirmed for the show after this and the recent cast confirmation of Daredevil in the MCU?
Well, first of all, you guys didn't watch a ton of Daredevil. You watched a few episodes earlier in season 1.
I think I watched 2 episodes.
I watched like all.
You watched the whole season.
I think I was halfway through season 2.
Oh, wow.
That is the laugh of Vincent D'Onofrio. It was definitely, as soon as I saw that cufflink and I heard that small segment where there's a little laugh, I'm like, Kingpin, he's here. That's it.
I just saw the 3-piece suit and the foreboding figure, and they're not showing his head. I'm like, that's Kingpin.
Definitely. And that is exciting about the Daredevil stuff.
It is.
I think that pretty much seals the deal.
Right.
So
That kind of confirms it.
they needed to get it out before this next episode coming tomorrow, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow.
Yeah. Jeez, wow. This week has gone by so fast.
And let's talk about, Ronan killing Maya's father. Right? I mean, Sam's comment of the show not being that violent went through the window after this episode.
So what was funny is when we were watching this, I was actually sick. I was on bed
too.
rest.
Yeah,
so we were all quarantined in separate rooms, kind of just.
Nathan was sick, Sam was sick, and I was in the other room with Mom.
So we all had our own separate TVs going, and we were playing it. And Dad and Nate were synced up like perfectly.
We were. Like, I was hearing the echo, and it was like the exact same moment and everything.
I got a little behind because I had to change captions, and so it paused. And you commented and were like, well, I guess it's your comment about it being not that violence out the window. I'm like, what are you talking about? And then that scene showed up.
I was like, alrighty. But I do think it was a good choice to make Ronan brutal as he was, since it affected Clint in such a deep way. But in this, Ronan kills Maya's father. Do you think this decision was a good one, since in the comic, Kingpin kills Maya's parents? Do you think that'll change the chemistry between Kingpin and Maya in a really not good way?
Yeah, I'm not sure how they're going to pull it off, because I know that she's supposed to become a hero later on, and a big catalyst for that would be, finding out that her uncle, adopted father actually killed her father. That would be pretty messed up. So I guess Kingpin's going to have to do something equally as bad to get her to turn, because right now I do not blame her for being upset at Clint or Ronan. She doesn't know it's Clint. She's going to be really pissed off when she finds out it's Clint. So I'll be curious to see how they navigate that. I think they made that decision knowing how they were going to handle that. But it will be interesting to see where they go.
Yeah.
I am trying to think back because, again, these episodes happen really, really fast.
They do.
Yes.
They're very fast-paced.
And so I'm trying to remember back to the moment. I know you guys are talking about the violence and stuff. Do we literally see Ronan kill his father?
Yes.
Okay. So it's not like it's a red herring.
No,
they're teasing something and then it's actually going to come out something else later.
We saw him run the sword through.
Okay. I'm trying to remember with that. Okay. That's a twist for sure. Because we were talking about that, how Maya could turn on Kingpin if she finds out that he kills her father. So what does that mean for the Echo series is kind of where I mean, obviously we're going to see it play out in this series as well. But in moving forward, is Echo going to be sort of an anti-hero? Is she going to be different?
I feel it'll be like Loki in a certain way. Maybe a little bit more of a villain than Loki was in that show, but I'm not sure. We'll find out. Definitely, it's going to be interesting. But let's talk about probably one of my favorite aspects of this episode. Clint and his hearing loss was shown a lot. Now, this is something from the Faction comics that it was very present. I mean, and it was brought up, and it's been brought up in a lot more comics since then as a common part of him. But it also showed how well Clint and Kate worked together just naturally. They couldn't communicate, even though Kate didn't know, but they still worked together perfectly. So what did y'all think of their dynamic in this episode, especially when Nate calls Hawkeye, Clint, and Kate picks up the notepad and starts writing him messages?
Yeah, it was a good way to force the two characters to get along. They hadn't been getting along great previously just because Clint's been grumpy. But now that they're in life or death situations and they can't communicate properly, they have to work together. And that causes them to, I guess, bond in a way, but just, function better. But the scene in the kitchen with the phone call was really heartbreaking. But she handled it well and he handled it well. And it was cool to see her just pick up that wanting to help just without any question. They have a really cool, almost like a father-daughter dynamic, but not quite.
It's almost a master and apprentice dynamic.
That's a good way of putting it. Yeah.
A mentorship that's going on here. I love what they're doing with Hawkeye or with Clint. I love how they are making, this is the most, yes, it's Marvel. Yes, it's a superhero story, right? And it's set in the MCU, right? But they're making this series and this character the most human of all.
Even
of
more
them.
than not Hawkeye. Falcon.
Yeah, I was thinking the same. I mean, Falcon is a very human story too, but this one seems even more so. And this disability element that they're bringing, and you brought it up with what's going on with Echo, which is amazing. What's happening with this? I love the backstory here. How both Jeremy Renner and Haley Steinfeld learned elements of sign language to communicate with the actress. I can't remember her name.
I don't have the name. No.
Okay. We need to get that for next week then. But she's deaf.
Yeah.
And so they learned elements of ASL, American Sign Language, in order to communicate with her on it. And it's just a beautiful story. And now that you're thinking, you have to stop and think about this. This is groundbreaking for the future of this franchise.
Yeah.
Because there's an Echo series coming. It's going to be led by someone with hearing loss with it. And that is a really cool element to this entire story.
It's great.
All of this has been really, really powerful.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. But there is somebody pretty big above Maya. Now, we've got a couple hints to who is running the criminal empire in this episode, but it's seeming more and more likely that it's Kingpin. Are you all excited to potentially see Kingpin in this series? And what is your dream theory of a way to introduce him into this episode? Do you think like a post-credit scene or a fight scene or...
I don't know. It's tough. I'm not as familiar with the character as I'd like to be. I do think he's coming. It's all but inevitable at this point. I don't think it'll happen in this next episode or anything like that. And it's going to be much later on, if not end credit of the last episode, just to tease that he's coming in a new Daredevil series or something to that effect. the best way to introduce him, I don't know. I mean, you've got to show that this dude's intimidating and powerful. So I don't know. Maybe he like catches an arrow out of the air, out of the air or something. Because he could do something crazy like that, I'm sure. But yeah, I'm not sure. I think it's end credit of the last episode.
No, okay. I don't. I think that I think he's coming in the next episode. If you recall, but this is a 6-episode series.
It is.
Okay.
This is going into episode 4, and in episode 4 of Loki is where everything gets turned upside down. We start seeing all these amazing things happening. I think this is where they move from, we're no longer backstory. We were at the beginning of the second act of this story, and we're going to bring in Kingpin. I think that's why Kevin Feige, and I just want to clarify, sorry guys, it is Feige. With that, and thank you for all you amazing Twitter followers that made sure that, hey, at least I know you're listening to the show. Okay. So anyway, he announced yesterday that Charlie Cox is coming back as Daredevil in this. Vincent, or in the MCU. Vincent D'Onofrio then tweeted today about how excited he is for Charlie Cox to be playing Daredevil. He's
today as recording.
As the day of the recording, Monday. So with that, so all of this is starting to really get heated up. I think they did this preemptively to go ahead and just get that all out of the way. So when this next episode drops and we see Kingpin and potentially Charlie Cox playing Daredevil, Matt Murdock in this, that we're already prepared to some extent for it, because they want this to be about the story in Hawkeye and not the cameos.
Yeah, that's
in Hawkeye. I think that's what they're doing with it.
I have a question for you, Nate. This is like the first episode where you really got to see Hawkeye back in action. How did you feel about that?
I was so excited, especially when that whole scene where they're breaking out of the building was awesome. It just showed how cool Hawkeye actually is finally. Like, we have not seen that in the MCU all that much. And so it's about dang time that they decided.
And those cool trick arrows.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was great. And he did that all without a hearing aid. It was fantastic. I loved it. Now, this episode was super strong. It makes me even more excited for the future of this show. The next episode comes out tomorrow or on Wednesday. And if the other shows are any indication, we might be getting the first post-credit scene of this series. So do not miss that.
I think that's what's going to happen with it. All right. It's that time for every episode with it. And we've got this, Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau are going to cancel out the sequel trilogy thing coming back again. I don't know why that keeps happening. The Punisher actor has a warning for Marvel Studios.
That's
and the Star Wars rumor of the du jour of the day, I guess, is the
du jour
of the day. It's French
like
for
the
of
pizza
the day.
you
It's not delivery, it's du jour.
No, that's du jour. No, and they're not sponsoring the show, so we just gave them a free plug. They should send us some pizza. There's a Mara Jade series in development. We'll talk about all that on Bad News.
This is not going to go the way you think.
All right, gentlemen, I've got a Christmas surprise for you.
Christmas came early.
That's right. The biggest movie coming out this year is Spider-Man No Way Home, right?
I thought it was Encanto.
I thought it was The Matrix.
No, it's Spider-Man by far with that. The problem is we don't have any Spider-Man accessories from cufflinks.com.
We do not. No.
Until now. Cufflinks.com is sending us some amazing cufflinks, ties, and socks so that we can show our love for the amazing web-spinning high schooler, probably college student, and then middle-aged dude.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, we're hoping for that. So it's exciting. So thank you, Cufflinks.com.
Yes, thank you. That's awesome. They have over 3,000 items on the website, including Spider-Man stuff, covering not just cufflinks, but ties, tie bars, socks, money clips, and other fantastic gifts.
And it's really close to Christmas. So
it is.
Use the code Tatooine15 at the checkout, or if you want to get yourself some fancy stuff, so you can go to the premiere of Spider-Man No Way Home and be all
of you media people listening to this right now,
cough, cough. Well, we don't have COVID though, but
yeah, use the code Tatooine15 at checkout to get 15% off everything on the site with no minimum order required. Get yourself some Spider-Man cufflinks.
Did I mention that we're going to be in California during the premiere? I'm just going to say it right here. Okay. And head on over to cufflinks.com today and remember to use the code Tatooine15 at checkout.
Well, you want the bad news or the really bad news?
All right, bad news number 1. Star Wars sequel trilogy reportedly being erased by Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni.
I swear, if we had a nickel for every time we'd heard this.
We would
sort
be
of
rich
rumor.
and we would be invited to the No Way Home premiere.
Why would we be invited? Because we were rich. There's lots of rich people not being invited. Here they are. There's a couple things we need to know about this headline. It's from We Got This Covered. First, it's from an article that was released all the way back in July. And the problem is they're sharing it again on social media right now. So the reason behind this is they're trying to load up their Facebook page with a bunch of Star Wars clickbait in order to take advantage of this surge of interest in Star Wars that's building up in the lead up to the Book of Boba Fett. So that's why it's getting released. But here's the problem. Since this article was released last summer, this story has been discredited over and over and over again. And this is I'm going to go clickbait level 9.
Dang.
Can I just say something about We Got This Covered that's admirable with their name? They really do have everything covered. Like
they make up stuff about everything.
It's covered. It just may not be accurate.
Exactly. They do have it. They do have it covered.
Yeah. Punisher actor John Bernthal issues warning for Marvel Studios about introducing Frank Castle.
You know, the headline could have been like
universe.
a punishing warning from the actor of Punisher.
Yeah, well, they're clickbait writers, not clever writers. Bounding into comics, I don't think we've had that before, has made the clickbait list this week, this time for exaggerating the statements of John Bernthal, the actor who played the Punisher in the Netflix series. This ties into the same strategy that you were just talking about, Dad. They are sharing the story because of all the buzz around Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige's. God, we're never gonna get his name right. This is gonna be a running joke.
If there was ever a chance we'd ever get invited to anything Marvel, it's gone now.
I mean, it's like Benedict Cumberbatch, but for us specifically, for some reason, we just can't get his name right. Kevin Feige's. You know how everybody makes fun of Benedict Cumberbatch's name?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay, keep going.
Anyway, I'll show you all the
okay. Come on, finish this segment. All right.
That guy's revelation that Charlie Cox will be reprising his role as Daredevil in the MCU. Bernthal was asked about whether the Punisher should make the leap from Netflix to MCU, and Bernthal's answer was that Marvel Studios needs to understand who the character is and allow the character to be the dark vigilante fans have come to love. Hardly anything but an opinion, and definitely not a warning. This is getting a clickbait level 6.
Well, it's not terrible.
Yeah,
It's
clickbaity. That warning thing.
That was. And now we have an exclusive breaking. We Got This Covered is going to say that we said
no,
it was
this is from Giant Freaking Robot.
Yes,
this is their
exclusive. Mara Jade series in development. Well, let's save everyone some time after Sammy's really long segment. This is a Giant Freaking Robot article making claims from trusted and proven sources. There's air quotes there, which translate great to a podcast, which means it could be completely made up and nobody would know. Now, this is a clickbait level of 8.
Wow.
Dang.
All right. Schmooly Claus.
That's me.
It's you. Go for it.
Well,
good job on your segment earlier,
good job.
BB Nate.
Thank you.
I forgot to tell you that. It was a good job.
Tickets for Matrix Resurrections went on sale yesterday, along with the release of the second trailer for the film. Gives a lot of new content to discuss, and I have a feeling Dad's going to have a fun time geeking out about this one. That's all up next.
Be on your guard. There are older and fouler things than orcs in the deep places of the world.
All right, then, keep your secrets.
You're coming to us. Is as the footsteps of steps.
There are many magic rings in this world, Bilbo Baggins, and none of them should be used lightly.
So that there's just like it was like what?
It was like 15 seconds of a trailer for a game that they're releasing on the PS5 and Xbox Series X and S, but the CGI on Neo looks so real.
It really looks like live action Keanu Reeves.
And
yeah, it was
freaky. Insane. I have no idea what they're going to do with that game. It's going to be insane.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah, so there, one of the themes they're talking about there in the beginning of that trailer, of this new trailer, is this repeating loops thing, right? This is the same, but not really. They've been here before, right? They show the original Trinity, and the Trinities we see are now with like mirroring. Well, mirrors are quite common, but mirroring like shots and positions and stuff. And then we see apparently what looks to be Hugo Weaving's Agent Smith and now Jonathan Groff's Smith. I don't think we'd connected that he was going to be this type of character.
Not never in anything.
If you now the description of the video that I was watching has a log line for this character, Jonathan Groff.
That's not a log line. It's called a description.
Just whatever.
Okay. Just
a log line of a description of a character.
Yes. Plays Thomas Anderson's business partner, a slick, confident corporate type with an... Ooh, wow.
Hey, you get it this week.
I don't even know that word.
Okay.
Insouciant charm?
Insouciant?
Yeah,
something like that. A disarming smile and an eye on the bottom line. Everything Mr. Anderson is not. So they don't say he's Smith, but he's apparently a business partner. That's all we've got at this point. But this trailer seems to show that he's the Smith of this movie. What do you guys think's going on there?
I think that he's just really angry that Neo keeps showing up late to work.
Yes, so much so that he gets a Desert Eagle and starts shooting.
Yeah, I'm watching we just watched the trailer again right before we recorded, and when I'm watching those moments, the first few times I watched the trailer, because I watched it, I don't know, 3-4 times now.
Not surprised.
I kind of assumed that Jonathan Groff's character is playing is Smith in this version of the Matrix,
right?
But I almost got the feeling this last viewing that he's mimicking it. He's intentionally mocking it. Like he knows the story himself.
Especially if you watch the trailer with captions. There was one thing when he was saying, they're living out their lives and everything. It was quoted. It wasn't a line. It was a quote. So he is reciting something.
It's like he knows the story and he's mocking Neo using the lines from the story. And this plays into, I'm sure we'll talk about it later on, but this idea of the movie screen that keeps showing up. Like Neo is watching a movie of his own life. And if other people have been exposed to this idea through the Matrix or whatever, then it's possible he's being mocked in this. And that's the feeling I got this last viewing with it.
Yeah, and they even they showed the whole mouth getting closed up thing from the first movie, and then it's not happening with Neo in this second trailer. It's happening with Jonathan Groff's character.
And again, the look on his face when that's happening was not terror. When you watch it in the trailer, go back and watch it if you're listening to this. Not maybe wait for the show to end before you do this, but go back and watch it, or you can pause the show.
Whatever you want to do.
Yeah,
it's your life.
You do you.
You do you. Yeah, exactly. But anyway, when you watch it, you see Neo, and obviously this is a clip from the original Matrix movie. We know this. He's terrified when this is going on, but you see Jonathan Groff's character in this, and there's almost a grin while it's happening. He's smug, like it doesn't bother me. I'm not terrified by this, and that's another reason that it felt like mockery to me.
Interesting, yeah. And then we see in that same scene where he's looking at this movie screen, with what looks to be playing the original Matrix movie, he comes across a mirror and he starts, touching it like he does in the first movie. And then they show that clip from the first movie where he touches the mirror, but it's on the camera shots and the angles make it look like it's on the other side of that same mirror, which is really trippy stuff. If you notice, there's a lot of attention to detail put into this between angles and shots and things to where it mimics things from the originals to a T.
And even the coloring in the is mirroring. Like the colors are different. And it's red on Neo's side. In this version of the Matrix,
it's warmer
red,
colors.
And the other side, it's the green or that type of stuff. And so there's this symmetry and mirroring. That's going on.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
Really intentional cinematography with this. And then we see Neo get plugged in for, I guess, what we can assume to be the first time for a while. And he's loaded up into that white room. I don't remember what they call it.
It's the loading
construct. And he takes a second. He's standing there and he's like, I remember this. Which is huge because we can tell from this point on, he's been brainwashed. He doesn't remember anything that's happened in these previous stories.
Yeah, it's the scenes. I mean, you would assume from the trailers that we've seen, the TV spots that we've seen, that those moments in this movie with Neil Patrick Harris and things where he's am I crazy? I have these nightmares. I have these dreams or whatever, all that's happened before this construct moment. And then in this construct moment, that's when everything starts to come together for him, is what it kind of feels like.
And then there's this theme that's kind of also running throughout the trailer. And they even had a TV spot titled Deja Vu, but they talk about deja vu throughout this. They're like, it's like deja vu, but everything's obviously all wrong. Everything's wrong. I think, Jessica Henwick's character says that, which we know very little about her character in this. She's the blue-haired character with the bunny, white rabbit tattoo. Her character name is Bugs, like Bugs Bunny. Funny enough, she was actually in Star Wars Episode 7 for a brief moment. She was one of the X-Wing pilots.
Okay, I thought I recognized her now.
She plays the hacker.
She was in Iron Fist too, right?
Iron Fist, yeah, for a little bit.
I think she was almost given a role in Shang-Chi, but she turned it down for this.
She was offered a chance to be in Shang-Chi or a chance to be in this, and eventually the studios got wind of that and said you can only pick one or the other, and she went with Matrix, which is a big gamble, but it'll probably pay off. But the description underneath the video says that she plays the hacker Bugs, the proverbial white rabbit on a mission to discover the one who sacrificed himself for humankind and willing to take any risk necessary in search of the legend she idolizes. So
kind of Rey-esque with Luke.
That's actually a really good analogy, except Luke's completely got amnesia and is the main character. But I get where you're coming from. She idolizes him.
She's just like it, but not.
No. I mean, I get it. That's a good analogy.
And there's also an element that it kind of reminds me. The description of her reminds me of Trinity in the first Matrix.
In some ways, yeah.
The Trinity's obsession with finding the chosen one, and all
Trinity
of that.
Looking up to Morpheus in a certain way as a legend. So,
yeah, that's a good point. And then speaking of Morpheus, there's a little bit of him in this trailer. His character is really hard to nail down in this because he's young and new yet the same. He's got some lines in there where he's like, they made you, believe their world was all you deserved, which I guess is kind of indicating what happened after the third Matrix. They brainwashed him into thinking that his prison or whatever needs to be the Matrix or something like that.
He's dead at the end of that. At the end of the third Matrix.
That's true, yeah.
And so they literally are resurrecting him in the Matrix with this character. So that's
I'm so confused. I thought they shut down the Matrix, but I got to watch 3 again.
No, they reboot them. They basically restore the Matrix.
We got to rewatch
is different.
these.
Like, let's stay up late tonight and watch it.
I would if I didn't have finals.
Oh, you suck. All right. But hold on. Let's talk about Morpheus for a little bit more, because there's these moments where Morpheus is dressed like an agent. He's got the glasses. He's wearing the suit. He's dressed like an agent in this thing, and it's driving me crazy. There's these everything about these trailers. This one specifically, though, is just messing with my head. It's all backwards, and then the second you think you've got something figured out, something else shows up in the next second in the trailer that messes everything that you just assumed.
Interestingly, when we see him dressed up in the suit and stuff, it's with the Bugs character. They're all being chased by some agents down this hallway, and Bugs is sitting there doing like 360 flips, shooting at them, while Morpheus is running away seemingly in terror. So maybe he's been brainwashed or something at this point too, and doesn't even know what's happening, and that's why maybe he's dressed up like that. Interestingly, there was a character that showed up in this that I don't think any of us were expecting to show up.
I heard on for all of you listening, little pull back the curtain moment here. My body clock wakes me up by 5 o'clock every morning.
I'm sorry.
No matter what day of the week, and sometimes earlier. And so Saturday mornings, everybody's sleeping in. This is me time. I'm up by 5. I've got my coffee. I read my Bible. I do stuff that I've never gotten a chance to do all week long. And there were some TV spots from The Matrix that had come out at the end of last week. And so I was watching those, and I literally went down the rabbit hole on YouTube with some of these like breakdown videos and stuff. And they started talking about Niobe that was being in this. And there was some stuff, but I was not ready to see her the way that we did.
Yeah, she's old in this, like really old, like older than Oracle was old in this trailer. So does that mean that this takes place really far in the future? Because then why aren't Morpheus is younger, Neo and Trinity are a little bit older.
I don't know. I'm not sure. It's so strange. I went into this trailer and I came out with more questions than I had answer. I'm so much more confused now than I was before, and I'm all here for it. I am. When you think of The Matrix, you're like, okay, how confused can I get? And then that's what I want because it is what it's for. I mean, but hey. Carrie-Anne Moss and Keanu Reeves said that what they decided to do of how this all works out, and they were in an interview this week, they said it was something that neither of them could ever imagine happening, but it works so well. And so I'm so excited to see how they explain it.
Something you have to take a second to think about is that, yes, we've got Keanu Reeves playing Neo, and yes, we've got Carrie-Anne Moss playing Trinity, but both of them are dead at the end of, I think, aren't they both dead at the end? I can't remember. Now I'm trying to remember. I've got it in my head. I've convinced myself now that she's dead at the end of Matrix 3 Revolution.
I feel like she is.
Maybe I'm wrong because we haven't watched it in forever, and now I'm just like creating my own Mandela effect in my head about this. But I've got both of them are then plugged into the Matrix again is the way I'm envisioning this, like to help resurrect them or to save them, or that's part of the deal. Okay. And they get to return in this, but there are two major characters from the original trilogy, or actors, from the original trilogy that are not in this.
Yeah.
Lawrence Fishburne
and Hugo
Weaving. And their characters have both been replaced by younger versions, is the way it appears.
And neither of them, it's not like Lawrence Fishburne and Hugo Weaving had better things to do, so they decided not to do it. No, neither of them were even approached for it. So this was always the plan.
They were literally have both gone on record and say, we have no idea why they didn't come to do this.
That's
we would have been willing to do it. So the story is driven by that. So you've got a redone version of Morpheus, a redone version of Smith. And now you get out of the Matrix completely. We know that we're out of the Matrix when Neo is having this conversation. You see the short hair, the buzz cut hair. You know he's been plugged in. You can just, it looks like from the original movie. With this. And he's having a conversation with Niobe. So Niobe's out of the Matrix. We know this is a non-Matrix driven scene. And that's when we find her being super old. So the story could be that this is, at least when it comes to Morpheus has been dead for decades at this point. And Niobe is like the only one left from Zion, from the original, storyline. And we've got all this going on. And man, she's just... nuts,
the description underneath the video says Niobe, the fierce general who once fought for the survival of Zion and who now sees to the welfare of her people with a familiar fire in her eyes, despite a sense of disbelief and suspicion upon Neo's return.
That last line is the most important line that we've heard so far.
There's a sense of, yes, there is suspicion, but I think there's also just a sense of like shock. Like I didn't expect this to happen again. And there's something, maybe a sense of awe as well, of relief.
I think it's more of a, they're not sure this is happening.
Because there's obviously another war going on.
Oh yeah, there's so many of those scenes.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why there might be a sense of awe as well of why is Neo back now? at this point. And I mean, we could consider this another one of the ones from
going back to the architect at the end of Matrix Reloaded, and the scene where you see all of the TV screens and all the different versions of Neo and the moments that's happened, that this is happening again at some point.
That could also play into the loop part of it. So
absolutely.
Yeah, and then we see Priyanka Chopra's character, I believe.
Good job.
She's got one line, and it's like, the most important choice in Neo's life is not his to make, which is interesting, that there's this big choice that needs to be made in this movie. We're not sure what yet, and it's not even Neo's option. But her character, we know for a fact, it's
been confirmed now,
is Sati, who the description in the wiki is, Sati was an exile that was created without a purpose by programs Ramachandra and Kamala. The Oracle, who
before she became vice president.
The Oracle, who protected Sati after she was smuggled into the Matrix, believed that the child would someday have a large impact on the future of both humans and the machines. And then the description of the video describes her character as a young woman with a wisdom that belies her years and an ability to see the truth no matter how murky the waters. If that doesn't sound kind of like the Oracle to you, I don't know what.
Yeah, I think we all expected her to be the second Oracle, or at least the new Oracle of this movie.
Because she's a program. She's not a real person.
That's exactly what it is.
I am excited though that they've confirmed that that's Sati. With that, and
that
we don't see her in Reloaded. You haven't seen that.
No. We haven't
rewatched.
No, she's in 3.
She's at the beginning of 3 and at the end of 3.
And it shows that the Matrix has aged since that point. Time has continued to go on, and we see that with Niobe.
But that age doesn't matter as much when you're a program and you're in the Matrix.
But we do see Niobe as this old
program.
I understand. It's just I'm saying time has passed on both.
Okay.
Yeah, and then there's Trinity. She seems to be a key part of this. Like, she's the linchpin that holds it all together. Neo in the trailer says, she believed in me, now it's my time to believe in her.
That was outside of the Matrix.
Right. So there's something going on with Trinity. And then she says, part of me feels like I've been waiting my whole life for you. Obviously, this is like a amnesia moment. She doesn't remember specifically who Neo is, but there's still there's a connection there. Right. Yeah. And then Morpheus, they're in that dojo with Neo, and he says, if you want to see Trinity again, fight for her, which is weird. Is something going wrong with Trinity? Is she captured like Morpheus was?
And he doesn't just say fight for her. He yells. He's like trying to get Neo to commit at this point.
And then one of the final lines is I saw from Trinity is they're standing on a rooftop, and she's all bloodied up, and she's like, I saw this in a dream, and my dream ended here. Mimicking, like, Neo's been saying he's been having dreams and stuff too, so she clearly has as well since the Matrix has ended. So there's a lot going on with Neo there.
We've known throughout, it's been made clear since the first Matrix, Neo and Trinity are connected. In the Matrix, we've always known this, and so that could be a big reason.
Well, yeah, but even in some of these clips, I don't know if you saw this in the previous TV spot, but when you see Neo in a pod,
you see Trinity on the other side.
Trinity's in the other side of the pod. There's no other pods anywhere in that scene.
No, those are like the two big pods.
Like they were plugged into some special element within the Matrix, like separate from everything else. And then in one of those scenes, you see Neo come out of his pod and jump over into the other pod to get her, to reach out to grab her hand to help her. It's nuts. I mean, the Trinity Neo thing in this thing is going to be taken to a whole new level.
Yeah. And then there's a cool little quick fight scene between Neo and I guess Smith in the end there,
with the classic cheesy kung fu
noises, the whooshing and stuff. It was great, but also Neo using the Force there, and then at the end,
everybody was kung fu fighting.
Sorry. Yeah, and then he says, "I still know kung fu," making all of us original fans nice and happy,
screaming and yelling and clapping. And
Dad, overall, what would you rate this trailer?
What did I say after the movie, Nate? I didn't rate it.
You didn't rate it. No,
I'm not going to rate it, but I'm going to say that I am more confused now than I've ever been.
Yeah.
This trailer gave me absolutely nothing
and everything.
And I want to see this movie more now than ever.
Yep.
Which is exactly what you want to do with a trailer.
Yeah.
In fact, I'll say this: Star Wars, Marvel, go back and watch these trailers and figure out how to put out trailers like this, because there's nothing been spoiled that I can tell of significance. I have no idea what's going on in the story, and I don't care. I want to see it.
Yeah, it's exact same thing with the Batman. Warner Brothers knows how to make trailers.
Yep, that's true. Just not restore Snyderverses.
Oh, man. That wasn't nice.
Matrix Resurrections is looking like a better film with each new trailer and TV spot. So far, it looks to be promising an homage to the original films while still telling an all-new story. I think I can safely say that we're all pretty hyped for this one to come out. So be sure to get your tickets, if you can, to see it in theaters December 22nd.
Yeah, very good. Good job.
Good job.
You're saying it's hard because there's no breakdown videos to steal from.
Right, because it just happened.
So you did a good job.
Thank you.
I had to do that with Spider-Man.
Yeah, you did.
It was hard.
It is hard. Yeah, you can't pull anything from anybody else and what they're finding. So, all right.
Yeah.
It's I do this teaser, don't I? It's anyway. Right. Steven Spielberg is being praised for his reboot of a classic film, and there is a new Spider-Man trailer out, but it's not for the film, releasing this month. That's next on Movie Moments.
At last, we will reveal ourselves to the Jedi. At last, we will have revenge.
So, new releases, like Dad said, Steven Spielberg is releasing West Side Story, an adaptation of the 1957 musical West Side Story explores forbidden love and the rivalry between the Jets and the Sharks, two teenage street gangs of different ethnic backgrounds.
The original was fantastic.
I still haven't seen it.
It's so good.
The director, like I said, is Steven Spielberg. The cast is Ansel Elgort, Rachel Zegler, and Ariana DeBose.
When you're a jet, you're a jet.
The studio is 20th Century
Cigarette to your last dying day. Sorry.
Like I said, the studio is 20th Century Studios, and it is rated PG-13 for some strong violence, strong language, thematic content, suggestive material, and brief smoking. Yikes.
Ooh. And you do know that this is Romeo and Juliet set as a musical in the 1950s New York City.
Oh, so they die.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not. Maybe not. All right. Anyway,
for trailers, we got Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1.
I know. All right. So real quick, just react to what you saw. I mean,
it was basically just like the opening scene, I think, and then some teasers, a little tease at the end. But
it gave us nothing.
Oh, no, nothing.
It did give us Spider-Man 2099.
It did.
That's true. Which we knew that was
cool universes and art styles, which I love. Those are really cool. Yeah, I'm really excited.
All right, real quick. Speculation's sure to go wrong. I'll start with you, Samuel the Hutt. Part 1 is animated. Does something happen? And they bring in Part 2 in the MCU, live action, to help bridge over Miles Morales into the MCU.
As cool as that would be, no, because that would be so confusing for people who aren't as plugged in as us. I don't think you can do that.
No, you just do a post-credit scene where all of a sudden he goes through the Spider-Verse and ends up in live action.
I think you got to be
like in Enchanted
too.
Yeah, I think it feels more like a kids movie or a cartoon or I know it's a kids movie, but it starts feeling more like a Roger Rabbit or something like that.
No. You don't make anything animated when he comes into the live action. He is live action. You make him a live action character.
So you then how do you bridge the animated and the live action? Then how do you show that it's the same character?
Because he's in an animated multiverse, and now he's going to transition over into a 3D
live action
multiverse,
and he is live action himself.
Right? But you have to show him going from animated to live action,
just like you do in Enchanted.
Right? And I think that would look weird.
Okay, all right.
Okay, that's strange. But all right. Box office numbers for this week. Encanto had 12 million with the 58 million. That's actually not terrible for a second weekend of a Disney movie. Ghostbusters Afterlife is still strong with 10 million. 102 million.
Yeah, congratulations. Clearing that 100 million
exactly.
threshold.
That's great. And House of Gucci got 6 million with a 33 million cumulative.
I'm not going to. That doesn't even deserve me to do the House of Gucci thing.
That is
on this show.
A little sad.
All right.
I wonder what really Scott's going to blame on.
He needs to blame it on the fact that it's not a good movie. All right. Everyone spent the past couple of weeks talking about Rogers the musical from the Hawkeye series. But did you No. That there's an actual Star Wars musical playing in New York City beginning December 17th, and we've got all the details next.
Wokey religions and ancient weapons are no match for a good blaster at your side, kid.
Rebellions are built on hope.
Force is with me, and I am with the Force.
If you live long enough, you see the same eyes in different people.
So I was listening when I heard this soundtrack. So I just was going through looking for a Star Wars story. I mean, Book of Boba Fett's not out for a couple more weeks. It's sort of this weird period. Everything's going to be Marvel.
Everything with Star Wars news is a weird period, I swear.
Oh, well, it's a really weird period right now. So I was looking for it, and I came across this musical about Star Wars, and I went and I found the soundtrack. And when I got to the Anakin Skywalker scene or song on it, I was guffawing. Yeah, that's like the best word to describe it. Laughing from my belly, big time. Like
Giorno.
No, it's de jour. No,
de jour. Same thing. You understood what I meant.
I laughed. I was like laughing super hard, not just because it's a hilarious song, and you guys have listened to it. It's a funny song. It's got some funny.
Oh yeah, it's good.
But it so perfectly mimics the opening scene in Hamilton that I was like, this is brilliant. And that's when I reached out to the people involved, the publicist for the musical. And I'm like, I would love to have somebody, I don't care who, somebody from the show come on. And so Saturday, I actually recorded an interview with Billy Reese, who is the writer of the musical. We spent like 30, 45 minutes. He's awesome, first of all. He's a great guy, huge Star Wars fan. The story about him growing up in a Star Wars family and all of this is really cool. But the even cooler part about Billy is that guess what his favorite Star Wars movie is?
Is it The Last Jedi?
It is The Last Jedi.
No way.
He's like, it is so brilliant, and people just don't seem to understand how brilliant that movie is. All right, so let's talk about what this musical is, because he's going to be on Friday. You can hear him talk about The Last Jedi. We'll do that then. But the story of the musical, it follows a show within a show, so it's like Inception, like a dream within a dream. As Star Wars superfans, Taylor and Scott, played by co-book writers, they helped write the story, Taylor Crow-Sewer and Scott Richard Foster. They joined forces to create a new musical about their longtime infatuation of Star Wars in order to play the stages on the Comic-Con circuit. They want to go on tour on Comic-Con, and they find themselves in need of a female lead. So after holding a round of auditions with a bunch of guys that show up for that part, and one girl, they meet Emily. She's an actual actress in the story. Like, she's like, for sure, like a real legit actress that shows up for this audition with it. Played by Emily McNamara, but she has an ulterior motive. We'll talk about that in a second. So Tom D'Angora was talking about this, and he says, Taylor and Scott discover Emily's sinister plot. They basically strike a deal with her saying, stay with us for the night and let us tell you why we believe Star Wars is the greatest thing to ever happen in the history of the galaxy, which these guys sound like Star Wars fans. Like, this is the kind of stuff that we would say with it. And then they say, if we can convince you, you'll stay with us and we'll get to Comic-Con. If you still feel the way that you do about Star Wars after that, then we'll shut down the show and your protest has worked. So then they go through this amazing journey of all things Star Wars and answer all of her questions with it. So Sam, I know we talked about it already. Finals are all over your schedule right now. You haven't had a chance to listen to much of this at all, just that Hamilton song with it. But based on this description that that I just read, what do you think about this musical?
It sounds like a lot of fun. I always like the kind of meta storylines. It's a show about a show kind of thing. But it sounds interesting. It sounds like a great way to showcase fans and how they feel about Star Wars, but also talk about Star Wars and why we like it. It's a great way to cover all the bases without it being cheesy or weird or over the top.
It is cheesy. It is weird. It is over the top, but in a good way. It
embraces that. If it's an actual show about Star Wars, like Rogers the Musical, but they just took episode 4 or something and put it in a musical, it would feel really weird.
Or like Spider-Man the musical. Which,
like
no,
that.
honestly, I mean, listen, some people loved that musical with it, but people had a hard time embracing it because it's
just
weird.
so strange.
Yeah.
Right.
And it has so many productions.
This is a great way to find that middle ground.
Yeah.
But the story sounds interesting too. The whole, you're trying to convince somebody that Star Wars is this great thing, which every Star Wars fan has done at some point in their lives.
We've had a Star Wars podcast for 4+ years.
Right.
Of course we do this.
We do this all the time. So it's a fun way for us to kind of live vicariously through it, but also see an interesting story. I like it. I love the idea.
Nate, you've listened to about half the show with me when we were driving around on Saturday. What's been your impression so far?
It is a lot of fun. It is funny. It is well done. It feels fun, which is something you don't have a lot in Star Wars. And another thing is, it seems like one of those things, I'd go to Pensacon for, and I'd look at the schedule and it would be on and I'd be like, I'll go. And then I'll get out of there and I'll just be like, that was fantastic. I'm so happy I did that, because it just seems like such a fun time.
It's interesting, the story of this show, because they opened May the 4th, 2019.
This show's been going that long.
And then COVID shut down everything in New York, and less than a year. They're they're off Broadway in New York. They've got about 150 seat theater, and they had to shut the whole show down with it, which was really disappointing. But what is also really cool, and what I'm hoping will end up happening with the future of this show, I'm hoping for them to take it on a tour and that type of thing, and it create this cult following, because it's that kind of show. You've listened to enough of it, Nate. You could imagine being at Star Wars Celebration to Anaheim 2022 and watching, getting 4,000 fans.
I feel like you put this at Celebration, people would go to it, no problem.
It would be. They did this in Nebraska just this summer in a 3,000 seat auditorium. It sold out.
No way.
And the show you said meta. It is. It's appealing to the fans. It's trying to get them to mimic back lines and clap at certain times.
That's cool.
And stuff. So can you imagine being at Star Wars Celebration, being with about 4,000 or 5,000 Star Wars super nerds doing with this musical, where they're having all of this fun, making fun of, but celebrating a galaxy far, far away.
We've said that part of what makes Star Wars is, it's not perfect. It's got the cheesy lines in the prequels, but what's fun about it is fans have just learned to embrace it and go with it at this point, and it's what makes it fun at this point. And they, even just from that one song that I listened to, they poke fun at all of that stuff. They go through the entire story of the prequel trilogy. They poke fun at everything we poke fun at, but they do it in a loving, I guess, way. It's a lot of fun.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about these characters. So you've got Scott. He's this old school. They call him a Generation X-winger, like myself. He loves the original trilogy. Okay. Then you have Taylor. He's the millennial Falcon. And as a kid, his first exposure was the prequels, and he loved, maybe not really loves Jar Jar Binks, maybe not with that. So Nate, Star Wars fans seem to be divided into these different camps based on. And they make fun of this in the movie or in the musical based on what Star Wars came out when they were kids. Why do you think that we divide based on that, and we love the stories that were told when we were kids?
It is all 100% fueled by nostalgia. Yep. Now, they might be good. I'm not saying the prequels are bad. They're great, but it is heavily influenced by nostalgia. Nostalgia is very dangerous when it comes to forming opinions. With me, I forever will say that Andrew Garfield is my favorite Spider-Man. Is that mainly fueled by nostalgia? Yes, but I do have reasons of why I think he is the best Spider-Man. Batman 89. I explained this on the Reverend and the Reprobate show. That is, everybody saying he's an absolute legend of Batman is all because of nostalgia. You look at it from an objective perspective, like me, who hadn't seen it till about 2 years ago. It's not that great of a Batman, but it is all nostalgia. And it was a big deal.
It's got a good theme, though.
He has a great theme. Danny Elfman's great, but I really think that it is fueled by nostalgia. And I think that's why it's dangerous for people to get angry at the sequel trilogy, because you as a kid absolutely love this stuff. And so getting angry at something that means so much to somebody, whether or not it's good or bad, it means a lot to them.
I honestly do believe, though, you have to tell a little kid, a 10-year-old going to The Force Awakens like you, or 12-year-old going to The Last Jedi, right?
Yeah.
You have to tell a kid that age that they shouldn't like the sequel trilogy.
Yeah, it's just not fair.
No, but I'm saying that for them to come to that opinion, you probably have parents and dads and moms and older aunts and uncles saying how much they hate it. And so kids form their opinions based on that.
Yeah.
If you let a child watch these Star Wars movies, even the sequel trilogy, for themselves and form their own opinions, they're going to be caught up in a galaxy far, far away. They're going to fall in love with it. They're going to, like watching Rebels, you have a whole relationship with 4 seasons of Rebels, and you are more in love with Ezra Bridger than I am with Luke Skywalker.
I said something controversial the other night.
Oh yeah,
with how Ezra's a better Jedi than Luke Skywalker.
Oh yeah, exactly. So we're gonna move on with that. Okay. So then you have the antagonist in this. Okay, she's named Emily. She's a recent American musical and dance academy graduate. So she's like a trained actress in the story. But she has an ulterior motive. I teased this earlier. Here's that motive. It's to shut the show down. Due to Star Wars' notorious lack of diversity and problematic female tropes in the original films.
Interesting.
So, Sam, this problem with representation, it really is front and center throughout the musical, and it's been talked about in Star Wars for 40 plus years.
Yeah.
But in this musical, it's done in a satirical way. Why is poking fun at a real concern a powerful way of addressing it?
Because when you take a serious topic and you talk about it seriously, it amps the, I want to say, danger up to 1,000, because you have to be ultra careful about what you say either way. And that's just how it is, because it's a sensitive topic. People have very strong opinions going both ways. If you say one wrong thing, someone's going to get upset at you. But if you go into it with a over the top attitude to a point where it's humorous, humor takes people's guard down for the most part, unless you're Joker, and then it freaks people out. But when you take a topic like that and you address it through humor, people are able to lower their defenses down. They know, okay, this isn't that serious. It's still a way to talk about something serious, but it's done in a way to where people aren't as uptight about it.
It reminds me of the genius Mel Brooks.
Yes.
In the 70s and the 80s, when he would make these movies that have racist themes and sexist themes, and he's not a racist and he's not a sexist, and the people in these films were very anti those types of ideas, but they were part of these movies because it allowed those things to be made fun of and be addressed in a humorous way to help people realize this is absurd. It's illustrating absurdity by being absurd with it. And that's one of the things. And it's fun, listening to this is a conversation that I've grown tired of at 40, almost 45 years of Star Wars. It'll be 45 years in 2022. Okay. I've been around for all of it. I was real little at the beginning. Okay. But I've heard about, the representation issues and the misogynistic issues and stuff in the original trilogy. And I understand it and it's true, but I'm sort of tired of hearing the conversation. But listening to this musical allowed me to go, you know what? There's some legitimacy to this, and it's okay for us. We need to know that that's part of Star Wars in the past with it, and that's one of the things that the people that put this show together wanted to be able to address without doing it from like they're preaching and very heavy handed. And I think they did a really fabulous job at doing all that. There's so many fun tropes within this, or things that they make fun of. There's this song, "The Maker." Well, I'm going to use "The Maker" because I wouldn't use the word that they use in the musical for it. But anyway, it's about George Lucas with it, and it's kind of makes fun of the original trilogy fans' hero worship of George Lucas with that. Then there's this song, "Everybody Has a Backstory." Star Wars fans, making fun of their compulsive need to create crazy origin stories for every single character. I'm thinking of you, Pablo Hidalgo. Okay. And then we talked about it a lot already, Anakin, which is this fantastic Weird Al level parody of the opening number of Hamilton. And then more to the story, which is, celebrating the genius of toys and the merchandise and everything expanded universe and its tragic relegation into the unknown regions of Star Wars legends. And so all of this. Here's the other thing that's really, I'll come back to this in a second. BB-8, everybody involved in this production seems to not only get what being a Star Wars fan is all about, they seem to truly love Star Wars. Why is it okay to make fun of something we love?
Because I think it is a way for us to express our love for it even more. We can make jokes about it all the time. We do it all the time. We make jokes about Star Wars constantly because we know we love it so much, we care about it. And so we can make fun of it. And I mean, even going back to how well this is done, and they're Star Wars fans. It goes back to Rian Johnson and how well he did with Last Jedi because he was a humongous Star Wars fan. And so I think that it is a love letter, no matter how it's presented. It is a love letter to Star Wars.
I think it's a natural point in anybody's fandom journey. You start off and you're like, oh my gosh, I love this. This is great. I love everything about it. It's perfect, right? And then as you're watching and you get with other fans, you're like, okay, maybe it's not perfect.
Well, and you also sometimes get really defensive about it.
Right. Yeah. You start off and you know, people talk to you about it and you're like, no, it's great. It's unfallible, right? And then you realize, okay, maybe there is some stuff wrong with it, and then you learn to just embrace it, and it's part of the fun. That's why there's an entire subgenre of memes called prequel memes, where you just make memes out of lines from the prequels, and people love it. Everybody loves it. It's just a part of being a fan of anything.
And I want to go back to something you were saying, BB Nate. You know, and both of you were saying this. You know, the love for it allows you to do this. It's like family.
Yeah.
You know, when you would not walk up to a stranger on the street and start making fun of the clothes that they're wearing or their haircut or anything like that. It would be absurd and horrifying
and rude
to do that.
Yeah.
But you know what? There's times in a family when you have love for each other and respect for each other and care that you've built up the relationship is deep enough that you'll make fun of somebody in your family and you'll tease them about something they said or they did or a mistake that they made. And there's a point where the line may go too far.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you have to be careful about that. But you've got the comfort level and the love for each other opens up the opportunity for the humor and the fun associated with it. And that's one of the things that I love so much about a musical about Star Wars is it is, like you said, a love letter to Star Wars and to Star Wars fans. And it pokes fun at all parts of Star Wars. It pokes fun at all types of Star Wars fans. It makes fun of the great things about Star Wars and the things that are not so great about Star Wars, but it's done out of a heart of love for Star Wars. And here's the other thing that's really cool about this musical. They built this musical and everybody involved in the musical is committed to this of updating the musical as Star Wars updates. So they released May 4th, 2019. Then The Mandalorian came out. So the Spotify tracks that you hear online or on you hear on the YouTube or whatever, there's the original tracks from it. Now they've got Mandalorian stuff in there.
That's so cool.
And then Rise of Skywalker came out and they've got Rise of Skywalker stuff in it. And so even the experience changes. And I know that there isn't anybody listening to this show right now at Lucasfilm, okay? All right, that has any authority whatsoever to make this or read pop. But I'm going to make it my personal mission over the next few weeks to get this episode and the follow-up episode from Friday with Billy Reese to people at Read Pop and at Star Wars Celebration and at Lucasfilm and say, you guys have got to figure out a way to get this there. It will be a hit. And it can be such a thing where if they continue to open it up every year. Can you imagine being at a con with a musical about being at a Star Wars con with a musical about Star Wars fans wanting to get a musical about Star Wars at a con and being with a bunch of con attendees watching it? It is the perfect storm for an amazing experience. And then as they continue to open it, it could become whenever Star Wars Celebration takes place every 2 years, they come back and they do the new version of it. And it becomes a tradition at Star Wars Celebration where you get together. I'm hoping for this. All right. Enough of my soapbox there. I'm dead serious. Lucasfilm, it's going to be like a Make Turbis canon type thing with me for a while. Not because it's anything for us. It's because I really think it would be a blast for everybody. The dad moment for this week.
I am your father.
There's something really powerful about having the ability to embrace this self-deprecating humor that we talked about. Being a Star Wars fan or a comic book fan or a DCEU fan, all these things, they come with cliches and with these stereotypes. Star Wars fans are known for cornering anyone with a Star Wars t-shirt and forcing them to take a position on who shot first, Han or Greedo. Debates rage on social media about X-Wings versus Y-Wings just this week.
Why would you argue that?
They literally were arguing about it. And it was
Clearly
but it was
X-Wing.
done in fun. It was done in fun. Okay. And the worst Star Wars movie ever produced is usually the last one that was released. All of these moments in a musical about Star Wars work because they're true, but also because the people behind these jokes and criticisms love Star Wars fandom. Fandom is a lot more fun when you're okay with being made fun of. And Star Wars is much better than Star Trek. Much. A musical about Star Wars opens at the American Theater of Actors in New York City on December 17th. It runs through January 2nd unless they get renewed, and that will happen if you go. So if you're anywhere near the Big Apple, get your tickets now. You don't want to miss the fun that this experience is with a galaxy far, far away. Go to amusicalaboutstarwars.com for all of the details. And then, like I mentioned, I know we've talked about it a lot, but join me on Friday's interview show as I celebrate this musical and the greatest Star Wars film ever, The Last Jedi, with Billy Reese, the writer of the show. All right. Anything else you guys want to talk about?
Anything else?
Yeah, a Shang-Chi sequel has been announced.
Officially today.
Which is awesome. I loved that movie, and I'm really excited to see a sequel for that. So
very, very much so. Very cool.
Yes, and Colin Farrell to reprise Penguin role in the Batman spin-off series for HBO Max.
You're a little giddy, like a kid on Christmas Eve with
happy. That. Finally, and I am already know he's going to be an amazing penguin.
What can they do with a penguin-centric story?
Oh,
he's a mobster.
So much. The crime family, it's going to tie in. They're going to have a whole universe with this. With Gotham PD, they're going to have this in there. Those are going to cross over. We're going to have more movies. It is an exciting time to be a Batman fan.
So is this the Battinson universe?
Yes, or the Reeves verse or something.
The Reeves verse. Star Wars Hunters gameplay trailer released today reveals a bunch of new characters and battlefields, and this thing looks fun.
I need to watch that.
I mean, it's like I don't do phone games.
But it's one that you would consider.
I would.
It's a phone game.
I think so. Isn't
I thought it was Switch.
Yeah, it's phone and Switch.
Oh, phone and Switch. Okay.
Interesting.
I just when in my head I'm seeing it on a phone. So, but that would it could be a Switch.
Yeah.
So, okay. I hope that's right. Friday, I've already talked about it. Listen to that episode. Billy is a cool dude. With that, I'm excited about it. Thank you, cufflinks.com. Thank you not just for being our sponsor, but thanks for sending the Spider-Man stuff.
Yeah, that's exciting.
We're excited about that.
Yeah, we're going to be looking fresh.
We are, we're going to go to the Jubilee Square in Daphne on December 16th.
In a full get-up.
In the Spider-Man
You better believe it.
Nah, Sammy's going to do his Bully Maguire, but he's going to have his cufflinks on. And he's going to have a full black suit, but he's going to have the cufflinks
All right,
on.
there we go.
There we go.
Okay, on that note, we should probably end this show. Thanks for listening to Tatooine Sons, a pop culture podcast.
If you had a good time listening, it'd be awesome if you could just share this with your friends.
Yeah, and of course, the show's only a small part of the Tatooine Sons world, so be sure to like us on Facebook and join our Facebook discussion group, and follow us on Twitter to get in on all the action and keep up to date with everything we got going on at TatooineSons.com.
And don't forget, you want to follow the show on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss that next episode. Remember that if you drop us a review on Apple or at podchaser.com/Tatooine Sons, we're going to make a donation in your honor to one child to help a child living in extreme poverty. All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for doing this with me. Congratulations. This is our first group episode of our 5th season.
Woo!
We had the Friday episode that came out, which is technically the first episode of Friday of the 5th season, but this is the first one we've done together.
Yay!
Wow.
Can you believe
We've been
that?
doing this for 4 years.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Exactly. Pretty exciting. Anything else
We
you
have
guys?
officially had more seasons than Star Wars Rebels. Alrighty. Oh, that is sad.
Dang. The herd is real.
I know.
Okay.
I'm dying now. All right. May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you, always.
This party's over.
I like that Wookiee.
Don't get technical with me.
Join, please.